What's good, math family? In this video, we're going to look at the 5 key skills you need to be successful with rational exponents. First skill that we're going to start off with is just how to regularly simplify rational exponents. So this first one is just asking us for the fourth root of 81. So the way that we could do this is say, hey, I know 9 squared is the same thing as 81, and I could take that to the 1/4 power, right? And once I do that, I'm going to get 9 to the 2/4 power, which is the same thing as 9 to the 1/2. And we know anything to the 1/2 power is just its square root. So our final answer is 3. If you already know that the fourth root of 81 is 3, you could go straight to that answer. Now, the second question, answer this 2 ways. We could do 4 to the 1/2 power and then raise that to the third power. So we know the square root of 4 is 2. 2 to the third power now is 8. Now, if we want to do it the other way, what we could have done was take 4 to the third power. Then after we take it to the third power, we then could figure out what is its square root. So 4 to the third power is 64. And we know 64 to the 1/2 power is just 8. Then we go to the second example, or the last example, I should say. We have 27. We could figure out what is the cube root of 27. And after we figure that out, we could then square it. And just remember that when we multiply these exponents back, we'll get the same thing. So 27 to the 2/3 power. We're just splitting those fractions so that we could simplify it easier. So 27 to the 1/3 power, or the cube root, we know that this is just 3, right? 3 times 3 times 3 gives us 27. And once we square that answer, we now are going to get 9. So this is how we simplify regular rational exponents. And now we'll go on to the second skill. Skill 2 is simplifying rational exponents when we have decimals. So first, to properly do this, we need to turn this decimal into a whole number. So because I move it 2 places to the right, that means I'm going to divide by 100. So when I look at this fraction, right, 120 over 100, we could divide by 10 to get 12 over 10. And then now once I divide by 2, I'm going to get 6 over 5. So now that I know the fraction, right, we can now simplify this. So we're saying 32 to the 6 over 5 power. So the way that we could do this is say, hey, I could have 32. I could figure out what is the 5th root of 32. Then I could take it to the 6th power. So now once we do this, we know the 5th root of 32 is just 2. And now once I take this to the 6th power, meaning 2 times 2, right? This is 4, this is 4, this is 4. So when I simplify it like this, I know that 2 to the 6th power is going to give me a final answer of 64. So this is how we could simplify when we have a decimal as the exponent. Now, problem number 2, same exact thing, right? We move it over 2 places to the left, so we're going to put this over 100. If we moved it over 3 places, then the fraction would be over 1,000 for those 3 placeholders, just so you guys know. All right, so now we do the same thing. Divide by 10 to get 15 over 10. Then at 15 over 10, I'm going to divide both top and bottom by 5 to get 3 over 2. So this is the fraction that I want. So now I have 16 to the 3 over 2 power, right? And the way that I'm going to split this up is I'm going to find the square root of 16, and then I'm going to take that to the third power. So we know square root of 16 is 4. Oh, and 4 to the third power, similar to this problem, is going to be 64. So now we went through skill 2. We're now going to move on to skill number 3. Skill 3 now, we're talking about multiplying rational exponents. And in the first example, it's in radical form, meaning we are going to have to convert it to exponential form. So this is going to change over to 5 to the 1/4 power. multiplied by 125 to the 1/4 power. But in this format, family, we would have to rearrange or rewrite 125 so that it has a base of 5. If we kept it as a radical, we could just multiply them across, then simplify it. But with rational exponents, let's rewrite this as 5 to the 3rd power, and then I'm going to bring that exponent down. All right, first one stays the same. So now we multiply, right? 3 times 1. So this turns into 5 to the 3/4 power. Our first one stays the same. Now at this step, I'm able to add my exponents, meaning 1/4 plus 3/4. So this simplifies now to 5 to the 4/4 power. Remember, this is a fraction, and once we simplify this to 5 to the 1st power, we know anything to the 1st power is just itself. So the answer for this would be 5. Now, in our second example, a little bit different because we do not have the same bases. And for us to combine and simplify, we have to have the same base. So 3 to the 1/2 stays the same, right? We can't do anything more with that. But 12 to the 1/2, we could simplify as 4 times 3 to the 1/2 power. Now remember, we're going to apply this power to both of these terms. So now I have 3 to the 1/2 times 4 to the 1/2, and then times 3 to the 1/2. So now these two have that half power, right? So now we could combine these two because they have the same base. However, 4 to the 1/2, we could simplify this as 2 because it's a perfect square. And then I'm going to write the rest of my expression. 3 to the 1/2 times 3 to the 1/2. Now, mind you, we're able to simplify this. So now we have 2 times 3. And after we add the exponents, we're going to have 2/2. So this just simplifies, right, to 3 to the 1st power, which is itself. So now when I multiply these two together, my final answer should actually be 6. Next skill we're talking about, family, is how to divide using rational exponents. And this is very similar to the property of exponents, right? So let's convert this over. So we have 4 to the 1/6 power divided by 4 to the 1/3 power. Now, to make this a little bit more simpler, I'm going to rewrite these with a base of 2. So the top one turns into 2 squared to the 1/6 power all over 2 squared to the 1/3 power. Now, once I simplify, I'm going to have 2 to the 2/6 power divided by 2 to the 2/3 power. Now, the reason why I did it like this was that instead of multiplying this bottom fraction by 2, I could just reduce the top one. So this turns into 2 to the 1/3 power divided by 2 to the 2/3 power. Now that we have the same base and the same denominator with our exponents, we are now able to actually subtract them. So when I bring this up here, 2 to the 1/3 minus 2/3, this is going to turn into 2 to the negative 1/3 power. So this would be my final answer. However, may not see it expressed with a negative exponent, meaning they would turn this into the fraction and take the reciprocal of that negative exponent. So we would have 1 over 2 to the positive 1/3 power. So you may see something like this, or you may see them put it 1 over the cube root of 2. Let's say they switched it back to radical form. So just be mindful. And now we're going on to the last skill of rational exponents. Skill number 5, we're talking about exponential equations with the same base. So to solve these, we have to rewrite both of our bases so that they're the same. So we could rewrite 16 as 2 to the 4th power, bring down our exponent 3x, and this is equal to, and we could rewrite 8 as 2 to the 3rd power. Now that we have the same base of 2, we could drop the base and create an equation with the exponents. So after I simplify to get 12x, right, this is going to be equal to 3. Okay, now we divide by 12 to get x by itself, and we know x is equal to 3 over 12. And if we reduce this, x is equal to 1/4. Now, if we want to double check that this is correct, we could just plug it back in. So let's do that real quick. So we're saying that 16 to the 3 times 1/4 power is equal to 8. Well, when we focus on these properties of exponents and I multiply 3 by 1/4, this is going to give me 16 to the 3 over 4th power is equal to 8. Now, once we simplify this, meaning I do 16 to the 1/4 power and then I raise it to the 3rd power, will that give us 8? Well, we know the 4th root of 16 is 2. And when we take 2 to the 3rd power, this is going to be equal to 8. So we solved and checked that answer. We know x is 1/4. Now in the last example, we don't have to rewrite this base, right? So this stays the same. 3 to the x plus 2 power, and this is equal to what? We could rewrite 27 as 3 to the 3rd power. Make sure we keep that exponent on the outside. So now we drop the bases. X plus 2 is equal to what? 3 times 2x, 6x. We subtract x on both sides to get 2 is equal to 5x. And after I divide by 5, I know that 2 over 5 is going to be my answer, and this is what x is equal to. Really hope these 5 skills on rational exponents was helpful for you, math family. If it was, smash the like button for us, subscribe to the channel, and please don't forget to leave comments down below if this video was helpful or if there's other topics we need to touch on and include in our next videos. Thank you guys so much for joining Algebra 1 with Mr. Peters.